Vogue is really trying to convey to women that having a boyfriend is out of style. Not only is it uncool, but it's actually embarrassing, at least according to a new article from British Vogue. Now, unfortunately, this didn't surprise me in the slightest when I saw it, but I wanted to read it nonetheless to see really what their thesis is, what do they really believe is happening, is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? That was the question that they posed. Now, I'm just going to dive right in and read a little bit of this before we kind of unpack it and also unpack then how the internet reacted to this, but this is how it starts. If someone so much as says my book on social media, they're muted. There's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content to become my boyfriendified suddenly. That is probably because for so long, it felt like we were living in what one of my favorite substackers calls boyfriend land, a world where women's online identities centered around the lives of their partners, a situation rarely seen reversed. Women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man with elevated social status and praise. It became even more suffocating when they could be leveraged on social media for engagement and, if you were serious enough, financial gain. So the author really hates content creators who make money off of content related to their significant other, or really create any form of content with a significant other. Okay, then she goes on. However, more recently, there's been a profound shift in the way people showcase their online relationships. Far from fully hard-launching romantic partners, straight women are opting for subtler signs, a hand on a steering wheel, clinking glasses at dinner, or the back of someone's head. On the more confusing end, you have faces blurred out of wedding pictures, never seen that before, or entire professionally edited videos with their fiancé conveniently cropped out of all shots. Women are obscuring their partner's face when they post, as if they want to erase the fact that they exist without actually not posting them. Again, this is the premise here, so I will just immediately come after the premise. I don't believe that women who do post the more subtle signs of having a boyfriend are doing it because they are ashamed of him in the least. I never get that vibe. If anything, I get the desire for privacy and then not wanting to show that person online. Or that person not wanting to be shown online, so they come up with creative ways to still include him in their content. That is all. The fact that they are trying to convey this, well, they're secretly ashamed, so they have to just kind of subtly nod at the fact that they have a boyfriend, but they're actually embarrassed. No, I genuinely don't believe that is the case. At least to the women that I follow. Maybe there is a world in which women are truly blurring out their husband in their wedding photos. Again, never seen that before, but if that's the case, maybe it's because the husband wants to be, they don't be on social media, I don't know, but regardless, she goes on and says, so what gives? Are people embarrassed by their boyfriends now? No, but okay. Or is something more complicated going on? To me, it feels like the result of women wanting to straddle two worlds, one where they can receive the social benefits of having a partner, but also not appear so boyfriend-obsessed they come across as quite culturally loserish. Just that line shows the problem here that women are dealing with and that one another, between the women, that they are creating. That they are calling you a loser if you post about your boyfriend. Actually, no, in this culture, you come across like a loser if you post about your boyfriend. That's what this is saying. Whether or not that was true before this article, now women are going off of this article and being like, oh, well, okay, that's good to know, noted. Guess I can't post about my boyfriend. Guess I shouldn't have a boyfriend or else I'll be seen as a loser. I mean, that's what this is saying. I hate Vogue. Vogue used to be like what you look to for trends and fashion and style, and now they're creating articles like this. Actually, if you have a boyfriend in 2025, you're a loser. What? Women, don't listen to this garbage, please, please. Also, to the men watching this is not all women. Like, at all. I saw this and was shocked and repulsed by it because every woman I know would not agree with this at all. But again, they're highlighting a certain subsect of women and trying to then normalize it for all women, which is where I have a huge problem with this. That particular paragraph goes on and says, they want the prize and celebration of partnership, but understand the norminess of it. Says some writer and activist. Shocking. Yeah, the second you use the word normie when referring to a boyfriend or a husband, shut up. It literally is normie for a very long time. So you can try to be all cool and, well, I'm trendy. I don't do partners. You don't win in the end. I'm sorry that from the dawn of time this has been normal. That doesn't make you cool to be against partnerships. It's just like exhausting. In other words, in an era of widespread heterofatalism, women don't want to be seen as being all about their man, but they also want the clout that comes with being partnered. No, apparently they don't want the clout, or else they'd be posting about them. They want the benefits, the nurture, and the love that comes from companionship, as one would, as is one of the huge benefits of having a partner. But I had to pause because heterofatalism, okay, they even hyperlinked that. This is the New York Times article that hyperlink takes you to. The trouble with wanting men. Women are so fed up with dating men that the phenomenon even has a name, heterofatalism. So what do we do with our desire? Is there even like a definition for heterofatalism? Let's see. Heterofatal. Because this like New York Times article essentially coined the phrase. The main thing that pops up under the definition is this New York Times article. So again, media can create culture. It can create even words and phrases that then are adopted by women, which is what has happened here, even with this norminess of a boyfriend. Oh, it's so annoying. Heterofatalism is a concept that describes the widespread belief that heterosexual relationships are inherently flawed and will likely end in disappointment, often due to societal structures like misogyny and gender roles. Coined by scholar Asa Sarazin, it suggests a fatalist outlook where individuals, particularly straight women, feel there is no viable alternative to the trajectory of heterosexual relationships, even if they are unhappy with them. This is sometimes called heteropessimism and can lead to lack of political or social experimentation to find alternatives to the traditional nuclear family model. Okay, I just feel like I'm falling down feminist literature that I don't want to fall down. Okay, so I'm kind of fast forwarding through this article and showing just a couple of these paragraphs that I really wanted to highlight here because, my gosh, the author goes on and says, obviously, there's no shame in falling in love. Obviously. I mean, if you got shame out of reading this article, you're wrong. That was the glaring thing that I saw reading this, especially as a married woman. It was like they are trying to convey that I should feel guilty about my spouse and that I should never post him on the internet. That is what she's conveying, but she's saying there's no shame in it, okay? But there's also no shame in trying and failing to find it, which I would also say, of course, if you're single, there's no shame in that also. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I feel like that's sort of what they're trying to convey here. That's not the case at all. And as long as we're openly rethinking and criticizing heteronormativity, having a boyfriend will remain a somewhat fragile or even contentious concept within public life. So now, now that it's so other to have a boyfriend, so bizarre, we can treat it like every other sexuality, where we have to look at it in a completely different lens and really investigate, understand why are we even heterosexual? Maybe we shouldn't even be. Maybe that's actually to women's demise. I mean, that's where this author takes this. Maybe it's not good for us. Oh my gosh. I wish I was joking. I know what it says next, but I'm going to read it anyways. Okay. This is also happening alongside a wave of women reclaiming and romanticizing their single life. Where being single was once a cautionary tale, like you'll end up a spinster with loads of cats, it is now becoming a desirable, coveted status. I would argue where? It's like Vogue wants to speak things into existence that are not what I'm seeing in culture. Again, I could go back to Taylor Swift. The lovely cat woman, she was setting herself up to just be a cat lady and she was going to own it, and then she fell in love. And now she's like, oh, thank God, because that's what I wanted all along. So even some pop culture icon like Taylor Swift is not even showcasing this. So I would love to see where are all of the 50 and 60-year-old single women going, yes, this is the best life I ever lived. I'm not seeing that anywhere. But okay, Vogue, they're calling it, this desirable status is another nail in the coffin of centuries-old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women to begin with. What a line. It's not just centuries old, by the way, I'll say this again, it's thousands of years old. And the fact that it never really benefited women to begin with. Having a spouse in a safe and loving committed marriage never really benefited women. It's not good for us. In fact, you're a normie. You're a normie now if you still believe that it's so toxic. They are so desperately trying to paint singleness and isolation as natural and normal, though it's not. But something that is natural and normal is balance of nature. With balance of nature fruits and vegetables, there has never been a more convenient dietary supplement to ensure that you get a wide variety of fruits and vegetables in every single day with 31 different whole fruit and vegetable ingredients. Balance of Nature takes fruits and veggies, they freeze dry them, turn them into a powder, and then put them into a capsule. No binders, no fillers, there's no weird chemicals or weird flow agents. Everything is lab tested for quality too. It's super simple. All you have to do is take your fruit and veggie capsules every day made with 100% whole foods because your body then knows exactly what to do with those ingredients. I love having my Balance of Nature because it is so convenient. Even when I'm on the go, I can bring them with me to make sure that I'm getting those nutrients into my body, even if my diet might be all over the place. So if you guys want to try Balance of Nature for yourself, you can go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using the discount code Conrad. That is balanceofnature.com, discount code Conrad. Get some of your Balance of Nature. It's good for you. Let's talk about this phenomenon further that I don't think is good for women at large. I hate to see this kind of thing written in the modern day because we know what the feminists of yesteryear did to now my generation and to the millennials. The effect that their books and their teaching had on us. We're starting to see that veil lifted of just how unhappy those women really were. How those lifestyles did not actually end in the fruit that they were hoping for. But then you see someone like this on Vogue getting platformed to talk about how having a heterosexual marriage is a fairy tale that never really benefited women. It's such a lie. Again, let's pull in some stats. Show me. What do you mean? Please elaborate. She doesn't. She just kind of says that and like it's truth. Like, of course. Show me the stats. Statistically, married women with children are the happiest among women. Bar none. And since the 1970s, our rates of happiness overall have plummeted. This narrative doesn't even track with stats, with numbers, with science. But maybe they're doing this as a way to cope with the fact that the dating scene is horrible, which it is, objectively speaking. It's a tough world there, I'm well aware of that. But just then painting men to be this other that you shouldn't even desire, you shouldn't even go after, is not going to mend that. It's not going to help. And again, to any men listening to this, I would encourage you, again, this is not all women, but I need to talk to the women here because this is not good. And the author here just seems so confused. She's like, well, what could possibly be going on? How could this phenomenon be happening where women are starting to feel like this? Perhaps it's other women. Perhaps it's articles and things and conversations like this among women that are then making other women feel guilty about having a man or desiring a man. She goes on to her conversations that she uses as her stats here. It's conversations with her fellow feminists, okay? And from my conversations, one thing is certain. The script is shifting. Being partnered doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. It is no longer considered an achievement, and if anything, it's become more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. Again, I will ask, according to what? Says who? This random author from British Vogue? It doesn't affirm your womanhood? I get to experience a whole other level of womanhood, a whole other challenge when I became married. And to say that it doesn't affirm your womanhood, that covenant doesn't do, what? That's a lie. I mean, it's legitimately a lie that she is saying like an absolute truth. Ugh, I'm getting heated. I don't need my blanket anymore. And here it goes into the whole questioning of, should we even be heterosexual to begin with? As straight women, we're confronting something that every other sexuality had to contend with: a politicization of our identity. Heterosexuality has long been purposefully indefinable, so it is harder for those within it and outside of it to critique. However, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're being forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. So how does this article really end? What is the true moral of this story that she's trying to convey? Hey, maybe even just the idea of being a heterosexual it's not even helpful. It's not even good. You shouldn't be. Because it's cringe, apparently, to be. It's embarrassing to be. It's embarrassing to post about your boyfriend, or especially your husband. God forbid, they didn't even mention marriage in here. So maybe just that blind allegiance that you feel to being a heterosexual, maybe you should just step away from it. That's what she's saying here. So I'm fast forwarding through a couple other paragraphs in this article and going to this other part where it says, but there was an overwhelming sense from singled and partnered women alike that regardless of the relationship, being with a man was an almost guilty thing to do, which I would pause there again and ask why. Why would a woman in the modern age feel guilty about having a boyfriend? Is it because perhaps society is making them feel that way? Perhaps that women on the internet are making them feel that way about having a boyfriend, therefore they stop posting about him? That seems like the glaring yes here, but that is not what this author chose to dive into at all. Of course, you can't blame the women. It's fully the men's fault for everything here. That's why they have the hetero-fatalism and not the fact that some girls like to bully each other when one has something that they want or one has something that actually they perceive as normie and being embarrassing and uncool. The girls were just digging their own holes. But Margaret Sanger, she would be celebrating this. She's probably rolling over in her grave of joy at the fact that now women are bullying other women for having boyfriends. I mean, I'm not surprised. The author here goes on to specifically call out a podcast called The Delusional Diaries, in which they talk about this. So I'm actually going to just pull up that clip and show you guys. Delusional Diaries seems fitting, but okay.
I saw this girl make a video and she was like, isn't it kind of funny? Like, I feel like having a boyfriend now is like lame and like shameful. And she was like, I feel like it used to be really cool, but now it's like you meet a girl and you're like, oh, you'd be cooler if you like didn't have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really do feel that way. Like when I meet a girl and she doesn't have a boyfriend, I am like, oh, like, yeah, that's like, you're cool. Like, I like that.
Who says that's If a woman is saying I'm sorry, but again, this is a certain subsect of women that we're even discussing here, because and again, everyone that I've ever known would never even say that phrase. Is she trying to make it seem like that's cool? Like, is that supposed to be derogatory when you use that word? It's really fascinating for the feminists to, retake a word, even something like female genitalia, to own it. Like you use it interchangeably with the word cool. I guess that's what she's trying to do here. A mean or obnoxious person. It can also be that. Okay, it's just never in my dialogue, so I had to look up the definition to really understand what she just said, whether or not she knows that she said it.
Like, yeah, you're on your own, like, slay girl.
Yes, slay queen, you independent bitch. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, the first thing that I want to say here before I read the comments, because the comments really just doubled down with what was said here. That girl who just said that is in a relationship. I wanted to figure out who she was. I went to her TikTok, and what was it full of? Videos with her boyfriend. Okay, so we can say, oh, yeah, this is so cool. While meanwhile, living a happy life with her boyfriend. So the hypocrisy. They want to seem so cool and independent by not having a boyfriend when really they have boyfriends. Like, they actually desire that. Why? The article never went there. Again, it never went to why a woman would even not want to post about him, but would still want to have him. Because he's valuable, because he's important. But God forbid they ever say or even allude to that idea. Now, the comments under here just hit home that these women are thinking a certain way. And also here is the politicization of men, relationships, all of that. That's because all the BFs are Republicans. Ah, yes, here comes the Republican versus Democrat. Of course, it's had to be brought into this conversation. Of course. They're just too conservative. Because God forbid they hold any conservative value in 2025, and the women are like, we're too woke for that. BFs ruin aura. I've never had a BF, and women always congratulate me. Oh, wow. So annoying. I get annoyed when I find out someone has a boyfriend. This is just women being so nice to one another, right? Am I right? Having a boyfriend in 2025 is rather unbecoming. Oh, is it? Says who? Says you? Some troll in the comment section? Okay. Being able to live alone and unpartnered is unquestionably a flex today. I'm questioning it. Maybe I'm too woke, but wifey material sounds like an insult. You are. I'm glad, though, that those who are saying, we're too woke for this, they're acknowledging the fact that maybe I've gone too far down this rabbit hole that even hearing the word wifey is appalling. Like, for whatever reason, it has this negative, visceral, negative connotation that I just feel. That's when you consume too much of this kind of content. And again, it's not good for you overall. Because your happiness levels, they go down. They do. So proud of the culture shift we are creating as women. Let's keep going. That one was the most shocking of all of them to me. 32,000 likes. Yes, girls, we're all becoming so independent. This is so great for us. Let's just pause. What does that look like in 5 or 10 years? They refuse the men, they refuse the boyfriends, they are being told that that's the better life. Now they're 35, 40, they don't have kids, but maybe they're starting to want one. Maybe they go the egg freezing route because, they were told, go live it up, go freeze your eggs, don't worry about them for now. So now they have frozen eggs. They don't have a husband, and they think, well, maybe I should just go get a sperm donor and have a baby anyways. So then, if that happens in mass, you're creating a generation of fatherless kids, not in any kind of safe commitment. You could kind of pull this thread from a lot of different ways, and that's just one example with egg freezing. But that's where this could take us. So no, not let's keep going, this is awesome. It's not. For either sex, rejecting our biology will not end well. I mean, rejecting God's design will not end well. And as I keep saying, it's not even scientifically or statistically accurate here. I mean, this is precisely what the Margaret Sangers of the world wanted, what they were desperately trying to chase in the 1910s. How can we get the idea of the nuclear family to just combust? How can we get women to just hate men? They're succeeding, dividing the women from the men, destroying the nuclear family, the idea of heterosexuality being some gross other, calling marriage prison, making it so undesirable that women even hear the word wifey and they go, ugh, guess I'm too woke for that because that sounds disgusting. The movement of the feminists over the last century were successful because now they resulted in this. But as we are now coming to see, as we now have the stats to look at, like I said, from 1970s to now, we can look at this stuff. They were wrong. Under all those comments of just women and some men chiming in, saying that stuff, there was one guy, Steve, bless Steve, who said this. This generation is being conditioned through social media algorithms and cultural messaging to see connection as weakness and isolation as empowerment. I mean, that's so good even for both genders here. It's clever. divide people emotionally, and you reduce birth rates, family stability, and long-term pair bonding. That's how population and unity decline without a single law being passed. And again, I'll pause and say, back in the 1910s, that's what people like Margaret Sanger wanted. You can see it in her writings, in the writings of her friends. That's what they wanted, without a single law being passed. All that could happen if you just influence culture and influence women a certain way. It's not conspiracy, it's behavioral psychology at scale. If you can influence beliefs, you don't need control. People will regulate themselves out of love, loyalty, and family. Come on, people, show me some intelligence. I mean, that is so good. If you influence culture enough, you don't even need to try to change laws. They'll do it themselves. We're watching it happen. So while some women on the internet and in media want to perpetuate things like this, I guess we must continue to be even louder for these sad, bitter, doom-scrolling ladies in the back on TikTok. I will close again by saying, the happiest women are married and have children. And by the way, if Vogue thinks that being single is cool, let me end by reminding you all that marriage is hot. Thank you for watching this episode of The Comment Section. If you want more episodes like this, please subscribe to this channel and like this video if you enjoyed it. And for other content, you can follow me on my personal Instagram and X, and make sure to follow us on our new Comment Section Instagram page. I'll see you guys in the comments.